this talk about global warming has some validity. Senator Bruce Rampelberg and I would probably agree that when it comes to warming, there's a lot of heat in the political arena.
Yes,
Obamacare generates a lot of fiery emotions, doesn't it?
it really does, and rightfully so. Obamacare was put together by people who are not involved with insurance companies. They're not involved as medical practitioners. There are a bunch of people who had a good idea about how they wanted to cover the people who couldn't get insurance. Wow. And in my opinion, it's a travesty. There are numerous ways that we could have addressed those issues without going through all the trauma that we have. When you look at the millions of people who are going to lose their coverage because of Obamacare and their policies not meeting the standard, if you will, and you look at the number of people who are going to be losing their jobs in many cases or losing their company sponsored health care, this is going to be a cost to our economy. It's going to be very difficult to summarize because it's going to just invade the very depths of our economy.
Well, you and I have had a lot of conversation about this issue, and one of the questions I believe people in our state and across the Midwest and the rest of the country are asking themselves, is it really the president to blame, or do we have state legislatures and governors to blame in part? And in South Dakota, we have a governor, and you know I've been a critic of former Governor Mike Rounds and Governor Dugard on this issue. Both of them have paved the way for Obamacare. We now have our own state health exchange. We've cooperated with the federal government. Dennis Dugard asked for and received $7 million or more to implement Obamacare. He commissioned the lieutenant governor to oversee the implementation of Obamacare. He and Governor Rounds both were instrumental in killing legislation meant to stop Obamacare in South Dakota. Now, talk about that.
Well, I think that Obamacare, as the very basis, is a federal program that has basically been shoved down our throats as the states. And this gets back to what we talked about earlier with the Convention of the States, because that's a problem. We won't talk about it today.
Let me just ask you a question. Now, there have been efforts starting in 2010 when I was in the Senate. I introduced the Healthcare Freedom Act, would have made Obamacare null and void in South Dakota. Similar legislation has been introduced subsequent to that, but it's all been stonewalled by those two governors. Would you support legislation in this upcoming session to nullify Obamacare in South Dakota?
Yes, I would. I think, though, it's again, the issue is, how do you go about doing that?
Okay, well, thanks for tuning in. There you have it.
No, I tell you, though, what I would support a message, if you will, that we in South Dakota would like to not have, you can't have Obamacare in South Dakota. Unfortunately, I don't think we can do that, because I think the Supreme Court was heard. I think because of the shenanigans, in my opinion, that were kind of played out by Roberts, Justice Roberts, and the way he went to try to appease everybody, saying you can charge a fee but you can't tax, and that basically the only thing that really we won on that is that we weren't forced to take Medicaid.
Well, your assertion then is that if the Supreme Court says it's so, we should just accept that.
I don't think that we would win the battle of eventually just stonewalling Obamacare.
The question in my mind then would be, Senator, do we only stand up and fight those battles we expect to win, or do we stand up and fight those battles that we know are right?
I think we stand up and fight the battle, but I think what we do is we come at it from the standpoint of what's possible, common sense again, what's possible. Because right now, the insurance companies that are serving South Dakotans, I mean, we're a small state. We've got 4 companies right now that serve our state. If all of a sudden they decide that there's more trouble out here than there's premium possibility, real easy for them to leave us. So and right now they are all moving forward with Obamacare. They don't have a choice either, apparently.
Would you expect that if we could have got into Martin Luther King Jr.'s mind, that he would have said, "Oh, this battle for civil rights is too big. We're not going to win it"? Or do you think he said, "It's right. I'm going to stake my life on it, win, lose, or draw"?
Well, I think.
And isn't that really the attitude we should have?
I think it is, but I think that you have to kind of also be realistic about the battles that you're choosing to fight, and figure out a way to accomplish that without just charging blindly into a situation. So my feeling is, again, as a state, we really need to fully address Obamacare and decide what we can do and what we can't do.
So how's that working out for us? So far, we've implemented every snippet of Obamacare in South Dakota.
Well, we haven't really. The two things we haven't implemented, we did not adopt paying for the exchange. Look at the problems the government has.
We just took the federal government money and
Well,
did it.
Well, but no, we didn't do it. We took the money and we studied it, and then we just said, we don't want to do that. Feds, you do it. And the feds right now are doing it. We're not.
Well, our governor proclaimed that we will cooperate with the federal government in establishing the federal exchange.
Well, I don't think he had a choice in the matter, because at the time, it appeared as if they had won the fight through the Supreme Court.
Other governors seem to think they had a choice.
I know, but take a look at what's happening today. I think everybody, and I haven't really, Gordon, I've not looked at this in detail, but I think everybody is realizing that this is a long-term ball game, that we've got to figure out how we can fight each step of the way, but come up with a plan, if you will, that will address the issues where we can.
Well, we're out of time. In fact, we're over
Yes,
budget
we are.
on time. I hope that doesn't follow with the budget this year in the state legislature. Thanks for watching. We'll be back.